Hello, grade 4s, and welcome to another revision lesson on lesson number 4 and 5 of chapter number 5. We will briefly go over what these lessons are, just so that you know what to learn for the exams. So lesson 4, what are fossils? So if we look at page number 201, fossil clues. We need to know what fossils are. A fossil is the remains or a mark of an animal or a plant that lived long ago, that is millions of years. Scientists can study fossils to learn about specific species that are extinct. An extinct species no longer exists. So a fossil is the remains of animals that lived long ago. It is usually just the bone structures that remain. And then we know that an extinct animal or an extinct species is something that does not exist anymore. This is a fossil of trilobite. This is a fossil of a trilobite that lived millions of years ago. It is an animal that lived in the sea. So if we turn to page number 202, we see there how fossils form. So fossils form by sediments that lay on top of each other, and we can see that these lines in these rocks on the right hand side are sediments that formed or fallen on top of each other, and then because of the compression of above or the weight from above, these structures form these lines in the structure. So fossils formed by dead animals that fall on top of each other or fall on the sediment, and then sediments fall on top of that animal. So on page number 203, you can see further that that animal that died on the bottom of the page, sediments laid on top of that animal, and more sediments started to lay on top of it. Just the soft parts of the animal decayed, leaving the bone behind. And the sediments then washed away. What we can then find is the remains of the bones of that animal. So these are three types of fossils that we find. We get a mold fossil. A mold fossil is the remains and an empty space within the sediment. This is a cast fossil that shows that what shows the remains of the dead animal or the organism that lived long ago. Then you get full body fossils. Full body fossils are like the one that is showing on your screen now. And that is because an insect went and sat on a tree, and the tree sap surrounded the insect, capturing the body of this insect. The whole insect is still there, and it has not decomposed whatsoever because the tree sap preserves the insect inside. So this fly has been preserved in amber. The tree sap, then what happens with the tree sap after a few 100 million years, it hardens and amber forms. So casts and molds are called body fossils because they are formed from the body parts of living things. There are several other types of body fossils. Sometimes the whole body of an animal may be preserved in a fossil. For example, insects can be trapped in sticky tree sap, and the tree sap surrounds the insect and hardens over time. The hardened sap is called amber. Amber preserves all the insect's remains, both the hard parts and the soft parts of the animal. So parts of an animal's body, such as teeth and bones, make up another type of body fossil. The bones of the animals, some animals preserved in tar pits. Tar pits are oily pools that exist on Earth's surface. Animals fall into these tar pits and become trapped. The soft parts of their bodies break down, but their bones remain as fossils. So let's turn to page number 205 to see trace fossils. The last type of fossil that we get is a trace fossil. A trace fossil is anything that shows how an animal moved or lived, like these footprints are trace fossils, feathers are trace fossils, even nests and eggshells are trace fossils. On page number 206, we can see lesson number 5, what can fossils tell us? So on page number 207, we can see that there is a fossil of a dinosaur. So windows to the past. Paleontologists are people that study fossils. So they look at bones and any kind of fossil to tell us what they have done or have eaten or have lived like. The illustration shows that one of the a kind of sauropods may have looked like. They had small heads, long necks, big bodies, and big feet. Now, these animals had the kind of teeth to show that they did not eat meat, but they ate plant matter. So paleontologists look at a fossil to say what the fossil looks like, and they make an estimation or a guess of what that fossil looked like. For example, the illustration of the hadrosaur might have looked like this. So it had a big crest on its head, and that crest might have been used as peacocks, using it to attract males. So paleontologists use living organisms that live today to determine what the organism did millions of years ago, or might have looked millions of years ago. So if we look at the plant on the bottom, the horsetail fossil looks like that, but in the past, it might have been as big as a tree. Today, it just grows a few meters or even a few centimeters high. So in the past, it might have grown very big, and now it is very small. So we know that plants also evolve, as do animals. On page 209, we can see that fossils and the environment. So today, we can see that there are different types of environments, but we can find fossils in these environments that do not actually belong there, which means that the climate has changed over time. So in the past, Kansas looked like this, but Kansas looks like this now. So the land has either risen or the land has dried up, which means that the climate has changed. If we look on page number 210, we can find the fossils, our age fossil. So if we look at the geometric or geologic time scale, each layer of sediment covers the layer before that, which means the deeper that you go, the more or the older a fossil will be. So the geologic time scale. Scientists have used information about the ages of fossils and rocks to make the timeline of history of Earth. This timeline is called the geologic time scale. When they draw the scale, scientists placed the earliest time span at the bottom. They put the most recent time span on the top. And this matches the way that rocks of different ages are arranged. On page number 211, fossil fuels. We know that fossil fuels are fuels that we burn to power our homes and our vehicles. So fossil fuels are called fossils because it takes millions of years to make. So I hope that you have learned a lot from this lesson, or that you have recapped on this lesson, and I hope to see you for lesson number or chapter number 6, lesson number 1.